foolish mortals.
Hello there. Are you insane? Get out of here!
Remain seated with your seatbelt fastened.
Right, off you go.
Welcome to Average Joe Orlando. Hello, theme park goers. Happy December. And I guess happy holidays, even though here in Orlando we have been celebrating for about a month now. It's very strange living in Orlando for the holidays because I think nobody outside the state understands why you start early. So I know for me, I start Halloween decorating usually mid-August, which actually was late this year because Mickey's Not So Scary started around that time. And usually that means the Magic Kingdom has been decorated by like end of July. July's too early. I'll draw the line there. And then Christmas, I feel like kind of gets cheated. You get 2.5 months for Halloween. And then when you really think about it, you kind of lose out some time with Christmas since Christmas can't start till after Halloween's over. And that usually takes 2 weeks to transition everything. Universal didn't start till like the week before Thanksgiving. So it's a whole thing and it kind of just cascades. And then by Christmas, basically, you don't want to go to the parks because it's too busy down here. And then by January, it's over. So a little shorter of a time for the holidays. But today we're going to talk about the best Orlando resorts for the holidays. Now this could be Disney, Universal, or some other ones. For those who have been to Orlando know there's basically a hotel on every corner here. There's no shortage of places to stay, even though somehow Disney hotels say they're booked out. Still trying to figure out how. They have 30 hotels at Disney. They did have 31. If anyone can figure out what that one is that closed. Star Wars. If you consider that even to be a hotel. I don't know what that even was other than kind of a failure. But there's 30 hotels at Disney. Universal has so many, and they're actually building 3 more for Epic that open next year. So along with Epic Universe, they're going to be opening 3 more hotels to expand theirs. But then there's other resorts too. And then even SeaWorld has announced that they're going to be building an on-site resort, which should be really interesting. Curious how that's going to be. And crazy they even have property when you think about it. But there's a lot coming to Florida. Or Orlando. There's a lot going on. Kind of a little more of a slow year, I would say, in theme park news in Orlando, just because Disney hasn't really been doing anything. I think they're waiting for Epic to open, and then they'll start. And then obviously all the money's going to Epic. And then SeaWorld kind of coast each year with a new coaster or something. But we'll do a full monthly recap at the end of this month of the full year, talking about what has happened this year and looking to what's coming. But let's chat about the resorts for the holidays. So there's a lot of resorts, as I mentioned, here in Orlando. And I've definitely been lucky enough to stay at a bunch. They're all different. They're all great. Well, no, they're not all great. Some of them are kind of just overpriced motels, looking at you, All-Star. But it did serve a purpose, I could say, like in high school or college, coming down and needing someplace just cheap to stay with friends. And they have refurbed them recently. Now I'm not really interested in staying there. Rather kind of stay at a moderate, actually, at Disney. They have some great ones. But then let's also talk about the end. I'll talk about my favorite one in Orlando, because I definitely have a favorite resort that I've stayed at. But over the Disney resorts, we'll start first actually instead with Gaylord Palms. So Gaylord Palms, it's a resort and convention center. It's massive. If you ever took the Magical Express back in the day, RIP, it would always pass by the Gaylord Palms. And then I remember like going on a high school class trip and everybody's like, and they all laugh at the name. I loved going to this hotel. It is beautiful. I've never got to stay, and there was never a reason for me to stay either, just because it's off property. But walking through there for Christmas is just super over the top. The atrium area is just gigantic with a pirate ship and a restaurant and Christmas lights, and does a little show. And there's indoor balconies that look it over. They have the ice exhibit, which I spoke about on this podcast before. And they basically turn the entire thing into a giant ice room where you wear a big parka jacket and you walk around. It's beautiful. Very, very great resort for the holidays. Other times of the year, I don't know if I would recommend even going. It's basically a convention resort. So unless you're down here on a convention and basically you're being paid to get wine and dine, which is a goal of mine to work for a company that does some of these conventions. If you ever walk around the parks or resorts, especially during, I'd say, this time of the year, most of them don't come during the summer just because it's too hot. But if you come during the slower or cooler times of the year, you'll usually see a lot of the setups, and they are massive. I have been to the Swan and Dolphin at Disney while there's a convention happening, and the things that they spend is ridiculous, which kind of mixed feelings on how much money they spend on these conventions. It's like, you have that much money. But it's definitely a great one for conventions, the Gaylord Palms, and that's really what it's there for. It's trying to get the conventions. Recently, in the past few years, Disney has expanded their convention space. If you look, you can see like Yacht and Beach has had a new convention space. They're trying to play up the conventions because it is a big market. If you can get people to stay on site and spend their money there and do the full convention there. Universal does a lot of conventions. They have a huge convention hall over at Royal Pacific. Very, very large area. If you ever walk between Royal Pacific and Sapphire Falls, you'll see where the bus stop is, and it just keeps going. And you're like, they have this much property back here, but they have a huge convention area because it's a big business. And the theme parks are trying to get more into that since these other resorts, such as Gaylord Palms, they're basically built for it. But there's a lot of Gaylord Palms around the country. But the Gaylord Palms in Orlando, I would definitely say, is a great one to go check out for the holidays. Just be advised, they do charge for parking as of now. Sometimes it changed. The last time I went, they just kind of waved us through when we left, and I was like, all right, not going to complain. But yeah, pretty great. We'll dive into Universal next. Universal resorts for the holidays, I personally love. As you know on this channel, I love Universal to begin with. It's my go-to. But they decorate all their hotels. They also have all the merchandise from the parks. And this year especially, they have a whole new line of Earl the Squirrel merchandise, who I actually just met last week. And I was so excited. I did ask him, or our friends, we all were like, well, what are you going to ask Earl? Is Pearl your sister or your girlfriend? Or both? You know, I didn't want to judge. But he said sister. So Pearl, the new character, is actually his sister. So the more you know. We did check out over there. He met at the Red and Green Coconut Club, which I will be talking about in an episode. I think 2 from now will be the Universal Orlando Holidays, which is my favorite. So typical Universal resorts are also going to be my favorite. They're great for hopping around. I always recommend that. We just had family in town, and it was nice to be able to go resort hop since it is a free activity. I don't think I ever realized how much a day ticket was for any of the parks since I never need to buy a day ticket. Since I have the annual passes, can kind of just hop in and go as I like. But when we were having the family planning our trip, we were like, oh, this is a lot of money for a day. Is it worth it? Or can we do City Walk or Disney Springs or the resorts? So the resorts itself was just a nice place to hop for the holidays, especially at Universal. You could take the boat around to most of the resorts. They also have a lot of the treats there. And of course, every resort on Universal property has a Starbucks, but not one of those like fake Starbucks where it goes, we proudly brew Starbucks coffee. And you're like, this doesn't really taste like it. It's like a legit Starbucks. Like you could use your app, and they have all the real stuff. So I always recommend that one. Over at Sapphire Falls, which is they're only like mid-size moderate. They have 4 different levels over at Universal, which is really interesting. Who knows what their plan is when they open up their new 3 hotels with Epic Universe to recategorize, but they basically have their like lowest hotel, which is similar to like the All-Star over at Disney. However, the Surfside Docksides are basically half the price and double the size. So if you haven't stayed at the Surfside or Dockside or even looked into what they are, they're at the old Wet and Wild site across the street. So they're a little further away. However, can be still taken by bus, and they also have still the early morning stuff that you can get. Plus, you're staying on site, which is considered. And they have suites, so like about a 6-person. They consider them suites. They're basically like a main room and then like a side bedroom and like a little mini kitchen, which is great. And they're usually under $120 a night. Can't beat that. Then they have their next level, which is Aventura and Cabana Bay, which used to be their lowest resorts. Now they bumped them up to their whatever their next tier is. Then they have Sapphire. And then after that, they have their highest ranking, which is Royal Pacific, Hard Rock, and Portofino Bay, which all come with the express passes for the parks. The interesting thing is, since Epic's opening, they're opening their giant Helios Grand Hotel, which is going to be their highest level. However, apparently does not come with Express, at least not for Epic. So it's going to be interesting to see like what happens in the next few years, if they have to recategorize it or kind of do more restrictions, kind of like how Express doesn't include Hagrid's. Is it not going to include all of Epic, but will include the other? Who knows? I'm sure they have a plan in mind, or they don't, and they'll figure it out as they go. Either way, let's talk about their hotels. My favorite hotel in all of Orlando actually is Cabana Bay. So you're probably like, that's interesting. It's like they're like one of their lower hotels. It's awesome. So it is a 1950s, 1960s kind of style. It has like the drive-in movie theater where you kind of, which is their food court. It has just a fun vibe where you have the Jack LaLanne gym, and then you have the bowling alley, and everything's just retro. And if you watch Sharknado 3, that's where they stayed. So, that's a thing. It's just a fun hotel. They do a great job decorating it for the holidays. They do a great job decorating it for Halloween. So Christmas is no different. One time I walked into the lobby and the Minions are there in the lobby. Another time they have a lady playing the violin, and it's just great. Crepe bar in the lobby. They have a awesome views of Volcano Bay, and you could walk to Volcano Bay, which is great because the worst part about Volcano Bay is the bus ride, so staying there and just being able to walk over is fantastic. They have the towers that look it over that kind of give a good vibe to Volcano Bay to make it feel like a Polynesian kind of resort. It's a great hotel. There's a lot to do there on site. It's a fun theme. The rooms are larger. They have like these like mini kind of suites that have like a little like living room in it and a little kitchen. Overall, great hotel. To me, one of my favorites for the holidays just because I like the vibe there. They have a lazy river, and then the pool bar outside. It's just fun. And a fun place to walk around and just like check out even when it's not decorated. So even better during the holidays. Aventura is across the street. I will say this is probably the most bland of the hotels. However, that is supposed to be the style, just supposed to be very minimalistic, clean. However, they do have that rooftop bar that looks over everything. Sapphire Falls decorates great. That's the next store. They have the Strong Water Tavern, which if you haven't been there, highly recommend. It's delicious. It's a tapas, rum bar. A little pricey, however, the food's very, very good. And you could hop on a boat from there over to the parks when you're done, or over there from City Walk if you're at City Walk and you want to start your day. Either way, really recommend checking out Sapphire Falls. Also, real cool, grandiose lobby that looks over the parks, and you could see the Dr. Doom in the background. Not him, his ride. Next door, you have Royal Pacific, which I always recommend eating downstairs at Jake's, and I always recommend getting the breadsticks. They're known for their breadsticks, which aren't like hard breadsticks. They're like pretzels or pretzel sticks, I guess they're considered. But they're very, very good. And that's a fun place. And it's open for lunch as well, which is hard because a lot of the resorts I find don't really have lunch options for sit down. But Royal Pacific has Jake's, which is open. And then once again, you could take the boat, or you could just walk over from there. They also decorate it really fun. It's supposed to be like a Polynesian style resort. So a lot of great decorations, big Christmas tree, and their lobby is fantastic. Over at the Hard Rock, they do have Velvet, which opens at night, which is a great place. You could sit outside looking over the pool, and you could see Rip Ride Rocket in the background. They also do their more rock and roll. So if you didn't know, Hard Rock is supposed to be you're in a rock star's mansion is the theme of the hotel, which is really interesting, and they don't seem to advertise. Maybe they advertise it, I don't know. But the whole theme is you're a guest at the rock star's mansion, and it's all like obviously rock and roll because it's hard rock. But they do more of their theming for their holidays to be more like guitars and rock and roll, which is fun to like look at the different garlands and decorations and see what's in there. And then lastly, right now, is Portofino Bay out on the water. You got the beautiful tree in the lobby, and then you could sit outside on the water. And at night, they do opera singers, which come out on the balcony. It varies in time. Right now is around 6:30, I've noticed. But you can sit outside, they have grab-and-go bars and grab-and-go food. They also have restaurants that have some outdoor seating if it's a nicer day out. But sit outside and watch the opera singers, and then just kind of lounge and walk through, take the boat back, or it's actually a pretty short walk. It's further than most of the other hotels, but the walk isn't bad to get those steps in. And then, of course, there's City Walk, which is always so nicely decorated, and they do like the mistletoe pines theme. And as I mentioned too earlier, which we'll talk about in another podcast, the green and red coconut over at City Walk, which is excellent this year. Highly recommend, but very Christmassy. And good things to just see for the holidays, which are free. We like free. Let's skip over to Disney resorts. Now, mainly the deluxe resorts are the ones that go all out for Christmas. And that's just what they're known for. They're basically a thing on their own for the holidays where people like to come and go check them out. I did park at Springs and then figured, it'd be easiest to take a bus to the Grand Floridian so I can go see everything over there. Turns out everybody else had that same idea, so that was cool. And the bus was very busy, and also the Grand was very busy. But we'll start there with the Grand. The Grand Floridian is just known for their Christmas decor. Or if you're me, it's known for where Uncle Jesse sang on the piano to Aunt Becky after he kind of messed up. But that's another story. But the Grand Floridian has the giant tree in the lobby. They also have all the garlands draped everywhere and the giant gingerbread house. So the gingerbread house is a life-size house. It's actually works as a store. When we were there was a line around the corner just to kind of get into like a little walk up and you could buy something. They sell the shingles. They also sold this year, I think it was like $100 for like a gingerbread house. And I was like, what is anybody going to do? Like, why? But I'm sure some rich people buy it. I don't know. But it's a great hotel for the holidays. It has that Grand Floridian smell to it. It's just very pretty. You can go to the second level and look down on the tree, and you can look down on everybody in line that are spending money on a $99 gingerbread house. Get it? But they also had another one over by the front desk. So if you go to the front desk and you look to the left of it, there was another table with other gingerbread being sold with no line. So I definitely recommend that instead of waiting in the giant line to get up closer. They also had everything like chocolate. It's just a great, really like a lot of little Easter eggs. They always say like it took this much dough and this much time and this much sugar into baking it, because they actually do bake it in pieces over a few months and build it, which is pretty impressive. You could always finish out your monorail crawl. I recommend if you're over at one of those resorts on the monorail line, just do them all, check them all out, because it's just easy to hop around. There is, obviously, after the Grand Floridian, you could hop on the monorail. It'll take you over to Magic Kingdom. Stay on. Do not get off the Magic Kingdom. And then go around to the Contemporary. Their tree is mainly out front. However, their lobby's decorated. They also have some other stuff going on their upper level, I guess it's considered, where Chef Mickey is. And then you could hop over to the Polynesian, which is always a good place just to hang out, get your pineapple Dole Whip, or you can go to Trader Sam's. They have indoors and outdoor seating, and then see all their Polynesian decorations there. The other option is to park over at the Transportation and Ticket Center, the TTC. That's where you park when you go to the Magic Kingdom, and then you could walk to the Polynesian from the TTC. You go, I believe you have to go through security first, and then you make a left. You'll have to check out security, but you could do that, or just hop on the monorail and then hop on the line from there. But that's easier for parking, because the resorts do have very strict with parking. You need to have a reservation for dining or hotel to park at any of those resorts. So if you don't have that, or if you don't want to pay for valet, I would just recommend parking over there, or parking at Disney Springs and hopping on a bus, and then hopping on a bus back. The other option, which is what we did to see more resorts, was after the Grand Floridian, we hopped on the monorail, got off at the Magic Kingdom. So I guess you can get off at the Magic Kingdom, and then hopped on one of the buses there, because they have all the resorts directly to any of the hotels from Magic Kingdom or any of the parks, but there is no direct bus from any of the parks to Disney Springs or vice versa. So you won't be able to just like easily hop. And they obviously do that just so that people pay for parking, and you don't just be like, oh, I'll park at Springs and then hop to the parks. You gotta make a little more of an effort. So that's another great place to hop on another bus, where you could head to some of my other favorites, which I definitely recommend. Over in the boardwalk area and the yacht and beach in that zone, you could always take a bus over there, or the Skyliner. And the boardwalk has their gingerbread little house, and then they have the carousel over at the beach club. The yacht club does the decorations, plus the boardwalk at night during the holidays is always nice. Everything's always decorated. Or you can go to that new bake shop and get a $27 slice of cake if you're feeling crazy. But that's an option too, to hang out at the yacht, beach, and boardwalk. A lot of people always forget about the Swan and Dolphin. I usually do, just because they're not really a Disney resort, but they have some decorations over there. So if you're going to do the lap, might as well stop over there and see all those. As I mentioned, that does connect through the Skyliner. So another option is to park over the Hollywood Studios, or you just resort hop for the day, because it does connect between Art of Animation. It does connect through Pop Century, Riviera, and Caribbean Beach. So they're all connected on that one. Another great hotel, a little out of the way, is Animal Kingdom Lodge. The main lobby of Animal Kingdom Lodge and the main lobby of Wilderness Lodge are very similar, because they are done by the same architect, and that architect, I believe, also did Grand California in Disneyland. But those are great hotels just to wander around in, see the trees, get up close and everything. Each park does have their tree out front, but the Animal Kingdom Lodge trees are fantastic. Plus, you have that savannah out back where you could always go and enjoy. There is an internal shuttle to take you between the Jumbo House, their main building, and then also at Kidani. And you're probably like, why would I want to go to the smaller one? Because then you could eat at Sanaa and get the bread service, which is fantastic. So I highly recommend that one too. And then I would also say the other hotels, which I always recommend seeing, are the French Quarter or the Riverside, just because they're beautiful hotels. They're in the moderate category. Take a boat. There is free boats. So if you park at Disney Springs, you could hop on the boats over by the marketplace side, over by Saratoga, and that'll take you directly. It's about a 20-minute boat ride. I did not realize. Been living here for years. Never took it. Finally took it and was like, wow, this is a long ride. But it'll take you right up to French Quarter, and then the second stop would be over at Riverside. And just ask the driver which one. French Quarter, you can get off and walk around the hotel, see the decorations, and get some Mickey beignets. So that's where they make the fresh Mickey beignets. To the point where like they come out and they call your name to get them because they come out hot, and they have dipping sauces. They're shaped like Mickey. They're delicious. Walk around there for a little bit, and then you could hop on a bus or a boat back to Disney Springs, or hop around. And the other one, of course, is Saratoga Springs. Giant resort. Has some decorations, not a ton, mainly in the lobby, but can get a great view of Disney Springs from the opposite side, which is kind of fun to walk around the resort and see Disney Springs from kind of a different view if you're looking to get some steps in for the holiday. And then head over to Disney Springs, where they have a ton of holiday offerings. It does get busy because it is the holiday season and they have a lot, but you can go over to the Jock Lindsay's bar and get some specialty menu items because they do a specialty holiday menu and decorations, or the Christmas tree scroll, and it snows over in the main area where the buses drop you off. So lots to do at Disney Springs, all free for the holidays. I know this is more Best Orlando resorts for the holidays, but it kind of morphed into best free things to do for the holidays in Orlando. Yeah. Anyway, there is a lot to do here in Orlando. If you want to pay and go to Lake Jollywood, or if you just want to go stroll and enjoy some of the cooler weather that we finally have, as well as some of the great holiday offerings and lights, since it gets dark early, it's always nice that you can go out a little earlier, see some of the lights, get some holiday snacks, and like me, go to bed by 9:30. Sounds great. Perfect night. Anyway, I hope you learned something new about some of the best holiday resorts and free things to do for the holidays in Orlando. But with that, I will see you at the resorts or in the parks. I feel like I need to change my sign off. Ho, ho, ho. Happy holidays, everyone. Take care.
Thanks for taking a ride with Average Joe Orlando.
You made it! I knew you would.
Is everyone okay? Hope you still want to open an account.
Say cheese! See you later!
Thanks, everybody. You were brilliant.
At this time, gather up your personal belongings and take your small grubs by their grubby little hands as you exit. Thank you.